Today I'll be showing you how to build a new and improved tunnel bore for your Minecraft Bedrock Edition worlds. This is an extremely easy to build TNT efficient tunnel bore to help you find hundreds upon hundreds of ancient debris and netherite in your Minecraft worlds. This tunnel bore is incredibly simple to throw together, only requiring some basic materials and slime or honey blocks, and it TNTs every other block, saving you 50% on your TNT costs when you are exploring the nether looking for netherite. You can tile this build together to have multiple of these in a row, and in fact it's actually infinitely tileable, so if you have a higher simulation distance, you can have more of these in a row to get even better efficiency out of your netherite mining. This machine is incredibly easy to use. You just stand right here and open up a trap chest or a target block, and that'll move the machine forward, and every other time you move it forward, it will TNT everything in front of it, reveal an absolute ton of blocks, and then you can easily collect all of your ancient debris. If you're playing on a simulation distance of 4, you can easily tie together 4 or 5 of these, but if you're playing on sim 6 or above, you can easily have 6 or more of these in a row for destroying a massive area of the nether. As you can see, the tunneled out area is pretty impressive, and every 40 or so blocks that you travel, you'll get about 40 or so ancient debris. So you really get an absolute ton of the stuff very quickly, and if you're building a netherite beacon of any size, this is the machine that you'll want in your world. This machine is also incredibly safe to use as well. There's basically no harm to the player unless you somehow stand right inside of the TNT block, which I would not recommend. You're probably familiar with a couple different ways of getting ancient debris in the nether, such as just mining, but of course this is like the most manual way of doing it, and you're also not going to be getting all of the ancient debris. Or you can bed bomb, but this is also the most manual way in the planet, and you get blown up in the face with a bed all the time. You also get a bunch of this fire, which can cause a little bit of client-side lag, and you can actually hide the ancient debris that's underneath this. So this tunnel board does not produce any type of fire. If you haven't already, I'd recommend that you check out my other video on how to find ancient debris, as that goes over all the specifics of where you can find ancient debris in the Minecraft world. Link is everywhere. Another massive benefit of this TNT tunnel bore is that you get a huge amount of ores. As you can see, there is a ton of quartz and gold basically everywhere in the nether. So as you're running around to collect your ancient debris, you can also pick up a little bit of these ores as well, and you're going to be rolling in the stuff. This is of course a good thing, because to make a netherite, you actually need gold, so the gold is already right there. You may as well collect it. You might be worried about the giant lava lakes that are in the nether, but we're actually going directly underneath all of those. So the lava lakes don't generate until Y level 21, and we're mining up to Y level 19 basically. So we don't need to worry about any lava lakes. Did I mention that it uses 50% less TNT? Because I feel like that's important. This tunnel bore design uses 1 TNT every other block instead of traditional designs that use a TNT every single block. So you're going to be saving a ton of resources by building this design. This is not a fully AFK tunnel bore. This is a semi-automatic one. So you get to open up the chest here. That'll move the entire array forward within a couple of seconds. And then you open up that chest again, and that'll activate all of the TNT. You need to keep your eye out for lava sources that come down from the ceiling, as those will decrease the amount of blocks that get broken. And you also need to keep your eye out for gravel that could fall on these things right here. As you can see though, it is an incredibly easy thing to use, and it destroys just an absolute ton of blocks very quickly, revealing a ton of ancient debris. There's even a couple more right over there. There is some minor maintenance that you'll need to do, so any ancient debris that is in front of the tunnel bore, you'll need to break that out. That way it doesn't run into the flying machines, and you also need to make sure that no blocks hit the actual flying machines or these bars on the flying machines. If any blocks get stuck to these, then that is going to stop your flying machine from flying, and you'll have to come over here and maybe fix it up and patch it and get it back to working state. So every now and again when you're bombing, just make sure there's no blocks in the way. Maybe remove a little bit of the blackstone and you'll be good to go. Otherwise, it is an incredibly low maintenance system. You can also make the system a bit more user friendly just by putting a target block in the system. That way you can activate it using a bow instead, and that way you don't need to go all the way back up there and open a chest. This is by far the best way of getting ancient debris in Minecraft. So how exactly does the flying machine work? Well, it's actually really straightforward. So it only has a couple of different parts to it. This is the engine on the backside, and every time you activate that rear piston, the entire thing gets pushed forward. And then we have some timing extenders at the front here. We gotta have these double, kind of triple extending things at the front just to get the timings correct. Otherwise, the TNT either doesn't get dispensed or it just blows up. And then we have the middle part right here. This is actually a movable double piston extender, which is really, really cool. And that makes it so that we can activate the TNT dispenser every other block. The front part of the machine is just the TNT dispenser and a launcher, and then the very front is the spearhead where the TNT lands. When you put it all together, you get something kind of like this, and it just works beautifully. Another good thing about this bore is that the TNT lands right on the very, very edge of the spearhead. This means that it can break more blocks downwards rather than if the TNT landed right here on the center of the ancient debris. Landing it right on the very edge also means that we only need one ancient debris on the front of the flying machine instead of my previous design where you needed two and an anvil. Ancient debris is a blast-proof block, so we need one of these on the front just so we don't blow up our own flying machine. And it's also incredibly easy to tile together as well. You just extend it out to the side with some slime blocks, and instead of having a target block on the next section, you just put a solid block there, and this allows you to tile this thing infinitely. There is a way of doing a TNT every third block, saving you 60% of your TNT costs, but this one isn't as good for the nether because it doesn't blow up enough blocks in front of the flying machine, so you eventually just run into a wall. Huge thank you to Katty Roze for showing me some tunnel bore designs and helping make this video possible. They sent me these two designs here, the every third block and the every other block tunnel bore mechanisms, and these are really good. So I played around with these designs and tweaked them, refined them for a few hours, and came up with the bore that I'll be showing you in today's video. But it wouldn't be possible without the contribution of these designs, specifically like the double and triple piston extender that is movable. That is really, really cool. So thanks again to Katty Roze. And let's hop into the tutorial, shall we? Everything that you need to build this tunnel bore is on my hotbar right here, but there's also an exact materials listed down in the description. You can build this anywhere that you want in the Minecraft world, but I'd recommend starting at 0, and then working your way out and bombing out from there. The area that you need to build this is 5 blocks tall, about 20 blocks long, and the more flying machines that you want, the wider the area needs to be. The floor of your build area should be at wide level 13. That way, the spearhead on the front of your farm is at wide level 14. This is going to give you the best chance of discovering netherite. The majority of the flying machines can be built out of honey blocks, but the very front of it does need to be made out of slime. We're going to start building on the back of the machine. You can start pretty much anywhere that you want. It doesn't need to be chunk aligned or anything. So place in yourself a regular piston right there, a slime block there, sticky piston, slime block, and then a target block. This target block could also be on the bottom if you want to make it easier to access and activate the machine, but for right now, I'm going to be putting that on the top of the build. We also need ourselves a slime block right here, a regular piston facing forwards, and an observer facing to the side. You then want yourself a slime block right here, observer facing away from the build, and then a regular piston right there as well. Place in a temporary block and then a slime block, and then you need to get another temporary block right here to place in an observer and a regular piston. Do that again, so a block a gap, and then your temporary block to the side right here, observer, and regular piston on the front. And now for the double extender, we need a temporary block right there, and then a regular piston like so. Place an observer facing downwards right here, slime block above it, and an observer facing away from the build. Then get in 2 more slime blocks right here, and an observer facing into that slime block. We're now going to go ahead and put in a solid block right here, just made out of 2 slabs, and then a observer underneath that, and a regular piston facing forwards. We then need ourselves 3 slime blocks right here, and a slime block right here, and right here as well. Get in yourself a dispenser facing upwards right there. That is going to be full of TNT later on, and place in an upper slab right there. We're now going to place in 5 lower slabs in this area, and then a doubled up slab to make a full block, and then just 1 piece of ancient debris right there. Before you try to move the machine, make sure you remove this line of netherrack in front of that slime block. That way the machine doesn't get stuck. Go ahead and double check all the redstone and make sure that it is correct. And once you're confident that it is, go ahead and activate that target block on the back if you can shoot it. And you should see everything move forward. On the second activation, you should hear a dispenser click. You can now go ahead and put a little bit of TNT in here if you want to, and try again, and just to really make sure that it's working. And that should bomb the front area, as you can see here. And we already found our first ancient debris. That was not planned. That's perfect. So yeah, you're going to start finding debris really, really quickly. Now, I would highly recommend that you build multiple of these, and building multiple of these is super easy. You want to come over here to the very back of the machine and place on 6 slime blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then you just place an observer facing that, and then you just need to build this entire thing again, so right over here. To get you started, you just simply place in yourself a solid block right here, a piece of slime in these 2 areas, and then your regular piston, your sticky piston here, and then your slime block, and that is the foundations of your actual engine that we already built over here. So as you can see, this is the regular engine, and the first module that I just showed you how to build. You extend it out to the side, and then instead of having a target block and slime block right there, you simply move that to the side with a slime block and a solid block, and bam, you now have yourself your next module. As you can see, the modules move 1 block forward every time you go over, so it's going to be mining at a slight diagonal, and there is a 9 block gap between the spearheads of your mining machines. I would recommend doing a dry run with no TNT in any of the dispensers just to make sure that your whole array works, and then you'll be able to test it with actual TNT. As you can see, it takes a couple of seconds for the entire array to move forward, but that is fine. It's actually better to have your TNT offset by a little bit to reduce lag and to ensure reliability of the machine. You always need to wait for the entire machine to move forwards before you try and activate it again. Otherwise, your TNT is going to get launched into the middle right here, and that's going to blow up part of your spearheads. So never shoot an arrow on top of this either. If you shoot an arrow on top of this, it's going to repeat activate the farm, and the whole thing is just going to blow itself up in a spectacular manner. So always shoot at the side or have your target block mounted on the bottom like so. Make sure to drop a like on the video and maybe even consider subscribing if you watched to this point. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you guys down in the comments and in the next one. And then there was silence.